Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to create Gossamer Wings. So we're going to use some supplies that we normally don't get out, but we probably all have. And here's some samples of the Gossamer Wings that I'm talking about. So this was a Tim Holtz stamp, and I stamped out the wings in antique linen. I think it was archival. And then I did the treatment on them, and you'll see. And then I cut out the body separate, and this is a little bee. It's from Pink Fresh Studios, I think. Pink Ink, somebody like that. I'll show you later. Here's kind of a colorful one, and I colored that one with markers. And he's glued on to just a piece of paper, no backing or anything. And this one, I stamped first and kind of shaded and then glued him on there and made his body. And here's the little double-winged dragonfly. I had colored him with the pan pastels. And this one I had colored with some spray, distressed mica spray. And you see their wings are very see-through, very, transparent, but they're pretty strong by the time you're done with what we're going to do here. So first of all, I'm going to get out my plain white tissue paper, basically. And this is from Tim Holtz and Idea-ology. I'm going to take a pretty good sized piece because I'm going to make a few wings here. And let me just, try and smooth that out. I'm just going to flip it over so it stays smooth. So when I go to stamp down, it doesn't bend up on me. It doesn't matter which side you stamp on, by the way. And I'm going to be doing stamping and embossing. So you'd be amazed what you can do with this paper. I've tea dyed it. This is cool. There we go. This is the beautiful wings, pink ink designs. And I'm going to use the bee's wings from this set. And you can use the wings on anything you want to, or you can use it on the stamp set it came from. Doesn't really matter. And then I've got another set, looking for it here. It is by Visible Image, a company out of the UK, one of my favorite stamp companies. Right up there with Tim Holtz and Lavinia. Just, they have a lot of unique stuff anyways. This is the fairy, and she's got some gorgeous wings. So I'm going to grab her wings. I recently made a card with this fairy and wings. But I'm going to try and get these wings out. Here we go. So there's another set of wings I can do. Now you can do separate wings, or you can do, a full size and just cut the wings out, and that's exactly what I'm going to be doing. So I have a dragonfly here, and I really do need a larger dragonfly, by the way, but I've got this largest dragonfly that I have here. I'm going to take him out, or her, or it, and then I'm going to grab a butterfly. Yeah, it's a pretty good sized butterfly, and it was the same butterfly in the example that I colored with watercolor pens. I did try alcohol ink on here. I wasn't happy with it. You might try it. I hadn't heat embossed anything. I'd just done it plain, but the alcohol ink just wanted to bleed really bad, and I was not thrilled with that. So I'm going to turn my paper here, and I'm going to do one set at a time because I am going to be embossing these. And this is Wow Clear Embossing Powder, super fine. And I'm going to grab a stamp platform here. That'll work, or a little stamping acrylic. This is a Simon Hurley one. It's nice and long, so it'll fit the whole pair of wings. They don't have to be perfect because you're going to cut them out. So you just want them to both fit on there and have enough space between them that you can make sure you get ink through and through. So I'm going to turn on my heat tool and get it warming up. And I'm going to grab my VersaFine Clair in Nocturne. And I'm going to get those good and inky. And then just flip it over and stamp them down. And I'm going to hold it just for a couple of seconds there so the ink can kind of soak in. Give it a press. Make sure I get all the little beautiful little veins and details. And then I'm going to go ahead and just pour some embossing powder over it. This part gets tricky because it's so flimsy, but honestly, the embossing powder doesn't stick to the paper at all. It only will stick to the ink, so I really like that about it. I'm going to tap off that excess, and I'm going to go ahead and just heat emboss that pair of wings. I don't do them all at once because I don't know how fast that ink's going to actually dry. So you know, I kind of just do one set at a time. But this paper just amazes me how resilient it is. I mean, it's not wrinkling up on me or anything. It's just sitting there being a good little piece of paper. So I'll go ahead and complete that, and you want to make sure that you get it all embossed, and then I'll go for the next pair of wings. I'm going to go for the fairy wings now, and I'll use the same stamp platform or the same stamping acrylic block, that spit it out, and same process. So this is just a fun and neat idea to, you know, add a little bit of dimension to your cards, a little bit of mixed media, a little bit of, I don't know, flair, to get those really delicate wings. So I'm just going to press down on that really good and then pick it up, and came out perfect. And I'll go ahead and just scoop some of my embossing powder onto that black ink. Give it just a couple of little taps, get any excess off, and I will go ahead and heat emboss that one too. You could use just the plain wings. You could use other kinds of paper, you know, if you want to. This particular method, you're going to want, you know, the clearest paper you can get. Now, I'll tell you a little trick. If you spray varnish or some sort of a, like Kamara or something like that on this paper before you do it, it becomes even more transparent. It's kind of crazy. I don't know how that works, but I guess just kind of the wetness of it. But it is, for what I'm trying to do, it's a little bit flimsy. So I don't want them to be so flimsy that they fold over and stuff like that. And it is at this point. You know, these aren't going to stand up to anything. So this is why we're going to do a very special treatment to them in a couple of minutes. I'll go ahead and get that dragonfly stamp down. I hope y'all had a Merry Christmas. Let's see, today it's what, 3 days after Christmas. It's going to be, I think, 76 today here in Alabama. And, you know, we're getting the whole scaremonger of severe weather tomorrow, which, whatever. I mean, I stopped being scared of it, but y'all, I watched a movie last night, and I'm not going to go into it, but it's called Look Up. Whoa. Okay, that's all I have to say about that. That movie blew me away. I had to watch another movie so I could go to sleep. That's, you know, it's not necessarily a scary movie, but at the same time, it's a terrifying movie. I'll talk about that more in my live tonight because I'd like to talk to other people. Now I'm going to get this butterfly down. Just recently finished Wheel of Time. Really sad that it's over. Really liked that series. You know, there was some obvious stuff like anywhere, right? But I really liked the variety of types of people. I thought that was really super cool. It wasn't, you know, all Anglo-Saxon. It was all kinds of people and all kinds of people. So really enjoyed that. Can't wait for the next season. So I'm going to go ahead and emboss down this last butterfly here. And when I cut these out, I will obviously speed this up because watching somebody cut something out is pretty boring, but I don't want to leave any out. So, sorry. Not sorry. Fast forward if you want to. So some videos. This process doesn't take long at all, but you know, cutting them out and stuff, if you were just doing one pair of wings, it would be done in no time, basically. You kind of have to wait for, and you'll see, I'm keeping it a secret till we get there. You shall see. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to color these guys now. And I'm going to still leave them on this sheet of tissue paper or collage paper. I guess it's called collage paper. And you could certainly use it for collage and use it like it is right now. But I want some color. So I'm going to use my pan pastels, I believe, for the fairy wings. So I'm going to grab this purple that I love, and I'm going to grab some yellow, and I'm going to grab some, where is my blue? This is the only pitfall about stacking them like this, is trying to find the colors, but it's easier for me to store, so that's that. And I'm just going to grab a little tool here. You could grab a Q-tip, or if you have one of these little, I don't know, some sort of a disposable makeup brush thing. And I'm not going to switch out brushes. I'll use the same one. And I'm going to start in the center with the purple. Doesn't matter if you go over the lines, because you're going to be cutting it out. And you're also going to be blending here. So I'm just going to go in about almost halfway. You kind of want to do it the same on both wings, best you can. And then I'm just going to kind of wipe off my little brush until I don't see any color anymore. And I'm going to go in with the yellow. And I'm going to blend that yellow with that purple. And because it's a kind of a reddish purple, you get a beautiful orange. If it were a purple, I don't think you would, but I don't know. Try it. That's all I can say about any of this stuff. Try it. Whatever colors you like, whatever makes you happy, whatever makes your heart soar. I'm going to go in with the blue at the tips of the wings and kind of blend it back in with that yellow. And this is very subtle coloring here. But you could use these wings on any one of your fairies or people or paper dolls or whatever it is you like to have flying, a flying book, flying bowling ball, I mean, whatever. Sky's the limit. Now I'm just brushing these off because I don't want to swipe that excess pan pastel. And I'm not worried about it smudging because the next step is going to take care of that. So let me put the pan pastels away, and then let's do the bees' wings. And for the bees' wings, I am going to use a distress mica stain. I'm going to use the Crooked Broomstick. I love this color. It's kind of a gold, not gold. I guess that's my best description. And all I'm going to do is I'm just going to take the lid off and drip a little bit down onto my surface here. I'm going to grab a little brush. And you can wet the brush first or not. Whatever. I'm just going to spread the color in. Doesn't have to be perfect. It's we're kind of going for a grungy look here. And I might have to get a little bit more. And I am taking a big risk leaving that unscrewed right there. Just know that. know me. It could go down at any moment. You know, I think people, they like to watch like race cars and stuff and train wrecks and stuff like that. And that's going to be me. Okay, let's get the dragonfly wings. Now I'm going to be using some opal polish, and this is Cosmic Shimmer opal polish. It's kind of a white, I don't know. It's definitely iridescent. And yep, folks, using my fingers, and I'm just going to spread that polish around on here. Look at that beautiful, beautiful color. So I'm not putting any kind of color on the wings whatsoever, just this opal polish. So, you know, it kind of reminds me of Dragonfly Wings. I kind of wish that they would do an opal polish, a white opal polish that had more of a gold inflection to it, but they don't, or they do and I don't have it. So this guy, what am I going to do with him? You know what? I think I might just do a little ink smooshing with that one. Yes, you can ink smoosh on this paper. Now, it's not the same as ink smooshing on watercolor or anything like that, but it can be done. So what I'm doing here is I'm looking for a color that I think I might like. And I've got them on this on this turntable thing. And I don't want to put oxide on there because I don't want to dull down any of my black. So I'm doing ink. And this here is speckled egg. I'm just going to do a couple of squirts right there on my my little work area, and I'm just going to smoosh. It's kind of hard to see, but it does definitely add some color. And I'll go ahead and take my paper towel and just dab up any excess. Clean off my mess. So it's real subtle. So I want something a little more bold here. Let me find my, oh yes, evergreen bough. And I'm just putting my hand over there to the side so it doesn't spray all over my other stuff. And you'll see later I end up cutting that butterfly off to finish it because I'm afraid I see already getting some of that blue over there by my iridescent dragonfly wings, and I don't want it getting messed up. So let me go ahead, and I want to use some fossilized amber here. Let me just kind of spread that around here, and yeah, still not going to cut that. You'd think I'd have half a brain and do that first, but I don't. So I'm just kind of laying it down into the ink. And okay, so now we've got some more color on that butterfly. Let me wipe that up. There's where I almost get that color onto my dragonfly wings, so I'm going to cut this thing out. But let me just dry it a little bit here before I add any more color. And you could stop there. You could go as far as you want. You can color it with chalk pastels. You can color it with watercolor paint, just very gingerly. You can color it with your color pencils. You can color it with markers. Again, I tried last night with alcohol marker, but I didn't like the way it bled into the paper. I mean, with the embossing, that might not be an issue, but I'm not going to color this whole thing in with alcohol markers or markers at all right now, because that's not the method I'm trying to show you. The method I'm trying to show you is how to make these Gossamer wings. So let's go. Let's try some Villainous Potion. In hindsight, maybe not the best choice, but I don't know. It was what I could grab. I just kind of grabbed what I could find here right in front of me. Okay. Go ahead and, yeah, it looks kind of funky, but no worries. We're going to be cutting those wings out. I'm going to dry it up a little. And this stuff does dry back a wee bit. So just going to get it dry. And so you got to be careful when you're drying it, because remember, you embossed. And so you don't want to touch it because you're going to mess up that embossing there if it's melty, if you get it melty again. But this stuff dries pretty quickly, so I'm just going to dry a little bit from the back, a little bit more from the front, and then I'm going to move it aside and let it finish air drying by itself. Okay, next step. Now here comes the fun part. What I'm going to be using is something that was a seasonal for Christmas. Well, for holidays, I should say, because I think it came back in October. But this is Distress Crackle Paste in the Icicle. And I found this stuff works the best. Now, trust me, I've experimented last night because I didn't want to show you something that doesn't work. A clear gloss texture paste will also work, but I just like the way this works better. So in typical Tracy fashion, I'm using my finger to spread this on. I'm going to wipe my fingers off really good because I don't want to spread any of that antique color onto my beautiful sort of iridescent already looking wings. Yeah, make sure my hands are good and clean. And I'm just gonna glue some on here. So, I mean, at this point, I wished I'd bought more of this stuff because I'm finding so many fun things you can do with it, besides just making ice. So I'm just spreading that on with my fingers, and then I'll go ahead and spread some onto the little dragonfly as well. And it doesn't rip the paper or anything. Just want to make sure that you coat beyond the edges that you're going to be cutting, because you don't want it to go under the edges, so you get some funny coloring. So let me move this aside and do the butterfly real quick. Sometimes this paper is hard to move around on this surface, but I like it still. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and add some of this Opal Paste here to this butterfly as well. And one thing about this is it's transparent, and so it doesn't, it's not going to take away from much of the color. Well, it's not really transparent because it's a color, but it's not going to take away from the details at all. But I'm hoping that it kind of, mellows out the villainous potion that I put on there that, I immediately regretted. You know how that goes. Now, what you want to do is make sure your lid's on nice and tight, and then go back. I'm going back with this Icicle Crackle Paste and putting up, it's a fairly heavy coat, as if you were spreading on, I don't know, not honey, but maybe mayonnaise or mustard on a sandwich. Not too thick. And then I'm going to let these dry naturally for a little bit, and then I'm going to come back, and to help them smooth out, I'm going to dry them with my heat tool. And what I like to do while I'm drying them with my heat tool is just kind of straighten the paper a little, because you see it gets a little warpy, because that icicle paste kind of shrinks the paper a little bit, which is why also you want to go beyond the edges, because when you cut it out, it won't curl. And so I'm just going to keep working at this to get these nice and dry. And you can't necessarily see any crackling, so to speak, on them. And you can always, if your paper gets a little weird like that, just kind of pick it up and hold it and straighten it out. There we go, get that nice and dry. And, you do the Tim Holtz method. Touch it. If it's wet, it's not dry. And then I'm going to go ahead and just cut out all these wings. And I do have this sped up, so, in the interest of time. And I am cutting with a very small pair of scissors, and I'm cutting very close to, if not on, the black line. You can cut a little beyond it. It doesn't matter, because your color kind of went beyond it anyway. But they're pretty easy to cut out, and once that icicle paste has dried on them, it's almost like they have, kind of like a plasticky coating on them. Like I said, you can use a clear gloss texture paste as well. And let's see, what else did I try with it? I tried glossy accents, I tried stickles, I tried scrapbook.com, what are those things called? Oh, pops of color. I have an iridescent one of those. So there's one set of wings. Let's get the next set. And I like to cut them apart, obviously, before I start cutting. Get all these little pieces of scrap out of my way here. And we'll go ahead and cut these colorful ones. And see, you can flip it over, and you can just take your finger and smooth the paper down some. It smooths down just fine. So basically, any moisture that you added to the paper is going to be dry. And once you get paper wet and dry it again, it tends to get a little bit stiffer or crackly, or I don't know. I don't even know what word to say here. But our point here is to have the Gossamer Wings, and you'll have to excuse my neighbor rushing down the street in his little hot rod. He, one of these days, he's going to hit our house. We're sure of it. We live like on a corner lot. So the front of our house is on part of the lot, and the side of our house or our garage is on the other part. And he goes flying around that corner. Yeah, I discourage anybody from sleeping in my living room because of the big windows and stuff. I'm scared he's going to come through it. But that's where my office is. That's where I work. So, yeah, at least I'll be able to see it coming. I don't know that I'll be able to move out of the way in time. But if he wrecks my work computer, then I can have a couple of days off anyway. I'm taking some vacation days next month. It's typically I'll take part of my vacation in January because I'm tired from the year, and so I'm ready to take a break. So I just smoothed him out too, and I'm not going to cut out the body. What I do is I stamp him out again, and I cut the body out separately, and I lay the body on top of the wings. So it seems to go best that way. And he's, you know, he's a little bit delicate cutting out, but it's not that bad. You don't have to try and cut out any of those teeny tiny parts. See, if you stamp those down first onto your paper, then all those details are still there, like underneath it. And it works out well. Go ahead and get him finished out, and then all we have left to cut is Mr. Butterfly Wings. Yeah, pick up my mess here a little bit, and see this one, you'll see once I get it cut out, it changes the way it looks. Kind of. Yeah, like I said, you could practically use any medium you want to color them. You can tea dye the paper beforehand, or coffee. I use coffee. But I love that look, that kind of antique-y look. Or you can use, you know, your distress braze, your distress oxides before you stamp. Sky's the limit, really, with this stuff. I wouldn't try doing any messy, heavy-duty watercoloring like you've seen me do. I don't think that's going to work out real well, but I don't know, it might. You never know. You have to try it. I thought, you know, I've got 2 rolls of this paper that I have never used, and I'm like, okay, I have got to use this stuff. So there's all my wings all cut out, and again, this one I had stamped. I did not emboss it. I stamped that with with Vintage Photo in an archival ink, and then I stamped out the body separately and put it all together. And there's one that was not embossed. This one was not embossed. I did stamp underneath, and that's how I got the details. This one I drew the details on. This one I took the, if you look closely, I'm looking for my knife here, I took the knife and I basically cut holes where I wanted the wings, and I slid the wings in, and I taped the back. Still looking for my knife here, but I just cut them with my knife. First I laid the wings down, and I made a little mark at the top and the bottom, and then I just cut a slit. And I took my pencil and colored the slit, because you know when you cut into white paper, you're going to have a little white thing that shows. But since I colored that slit, you can't even tell it's there, and all the little wings fly. So next up, I'll show you just some still photos of the little winged things we made. So here's the little wings, and a little bit with some of the cards that I made with the wings, or at least the card fronts. Here's the little double-winged dragonfly. Here's the bee, and there you can kind of see the little slits where I put his wings. Here's another dragonfly on a stencil from A Colorful Life. It's the leaf stencil. Here is the butterfly that I colored with watercolor markers. I want to thank you for watching. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. please consider subscribing and hit that notification bell. Bye, y'all. Have a good one.